Ready to talk about some stuff?
We're going to talk about stuff, and it's going to be good.
Topic of today's video. We're getting a little bit more educational for you guys.
Yes.
We're going to talk about concussions today. So, concussion management. What is a concussion? How do you get it? We're going to go very basic. We're not going to go super in depth, like what kind of actual micro brain damage it causes and all the stuff like that. But physiological changes, we're just going to talk in general. So, what is a concussion, right? Concussion is you hit your head. Yeah. And your brain inside your head.
Story. Yeah. That's it. That's a concussion.
Well, you don't have to have hit your head. You could have been in a deceleration incident or something like that. But it's mostly when your brain inside your head is floating around in its juices.
Brain juices. This is a real scientific.
If your skull moves faster than your brain does, or the other way around, it'll hit the inside of your skull.
Ooh, coup contra coup.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Contra coup injury. So you get smacked in the front, your brain bounces back and hits the back of your head. So even if you got hit in the front of your head, you could have the brain injury in the back of your head, right?
Yeah.
So mild traumatic brain injury is what it's actually called, and it can be very mild all the way up to very severe, right? So that's kind of generally what it is. You got a bruise on your brain.
Yeah, it's a brain bruise.
It's a brain bruise.
Yeah.
So how can that manifest? Let's talk about that slightly. So. You might be watching this video because you've had a concussion before and you want to know kind of what it is, or you have some symptoms now, like you fell off your bike and you're like, do I have a concussion?
Am I concussed?
You could be concussed.
If you are, then you probably need to go to the hospital.
If you are, stop watching this video. One of the things that'll make your symptoms worse are TV screens and stuff like that. So,
yeah, so put down the phone.
Yeah, put it down.
Laptop, put it away.
We're not that important.
No, really.
Not at all.
Just about, but not that important.
Go to a library, read a book.
Yeah.
That might hurt too, though.
Just carry your ass to the hospital.
Yeah, just go to the hospital.
Yeah.
So, don't drive yourself.
Yeah, have somebody else take you as well.
Uber there.
Yes.
This is not a commercial. Okay. So, diagnosis. So, one way, so let's say in sports, you get tackled by some guy and you're laying on the ground and your head hurts and you're just laying there. People come up. The first thing they do is they want to see kind of how bad it is. They'll come up to you. They'll say, hey, are you okay? They'll ask you some questions. And the main thing they're looking for is this thing called the Glasgow Coma scale.
Yeah, and then you can see this too now. It's because it's so prevalent in sports. That's what they're doing with concussion protocol. When somebody takes a big blow, they're running through what you're talking about.
Yeah, the Glasgow Coma scale. So there's these 4 sections of how verbally responsive are they, how physically responsive are they, do they know what the heck's going on? That's why they're like, how old are you? Do you know where you are?
Yeah.
What's the date? Who's the president right now? Yeah. So all those types of questions, that's what you're looking for.
Yes.
So if you, let's just say you think you might have had a concussion. If you went down and you blacked out, that's already you should go see someone.
Yeah, you should.
So moments of lost consciousness are a huge section. Did you lose consciousness momentarily? Did you feel like you were going to, but you didn't? Did you lose it for a while? Did you go down and wake up and people were already standing around you?
Yeah.
That's a big thing. Second big thing is looking at your speech. Did you go down, hit your head, and then you felt like it was hard to talk for a little while? Or you had some slurred speech, or you couldn't think of certain words, like what your name was. That would be a severe instance, but stuff like that.
Okay.
You had trouble understanding. If someone asked you a question, you were like, wait, what? Ask that again? Stuff like that, right? And I'm not saying that's a definite symptom of having a concussion, but that could be one of those little, maybe your brain's been hurt.
Telltale sign, or at least a red or yellow flag.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Other than that, the rest are kind of looking in depth, what a PT would look at, or a personal trainer or an athletic trainer would look at. So we don't have to go specifically over those now. So it'd be eye responses and stuff you can't look at yourself.
It would just be just telling you enough to elevate it to the next level, which would be go to the hospital and get some testing done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So just based on that, you can kind of tell, all right, how bad was this blow, this landing, this car crash kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you can also be do I have these things? So let's talk about symptoms, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you fell off your bike and you hit your head on a tree, right?
Be a pretty gnarly crash.
Yeah, be pretty bad. Yeah.
Hopefully someone was filming because you could get some good hits off that.
I'd watch that.
Yeah, monetize your concussion if possible.
Please do. Pay for those hospital bills. So
they're coming.
So let's say that happened. Some of the main symptoms that you would have are stuff like dizziness, confusion, nausea, difficulty falling asleep could be one of them, or you get suddenly you're really sleepy.
Yeah.
So it could go either way on that one.
And does that tie into too, because you know a lot more about this than I do. So that common thing you'll hear with concussions is don't let them sleep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that just keeping them awake. What is the purpose of that? You could just die in your sleep.
I don't know if it's like super researched on why, but I think there's a thing where your brain is kind of in this state where it's been injured and your body typically starts shutting things down to heal them in a certain way.
Okay.
So it might want to make you go unconscious so it can divert those resources to healing.
Okay.
Depending on how severe the brain injury is and where it is, that might not be a good idea because it might be hard to get those guys back conscious.
Gotcha.
So it could be like they're in the beginning stages of falling into a coma, and you don't want that to happen in some cases.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some cases where it's like just let them go into that coma. We're gonna get them to the hospital and we're gonna figure out how to fix this and then bring them back.
Because in some instances, where they do put people into a coma actually artificially,
like medically induced coma.
Yeah, it's a way for the brain to rest actually and heal. Okay.
Yeah. And so there are instances where that's okay. There are instances where you don't want that. If you're next to a loved one and they just took a huge blow to the head and they're passing out, don't sit on top of them slapping them to keep them awake, all right? Like, just try to be verbal with them, and if they lose that responsiveness, I mean, you should have someone on the way.
Yeah.
But those kind of symptoms, like headache, nausea, dizziness, the weird tiredness, all those things. Mm-hmm. And it is also important to know that there are a lot of things that, let's say you don't have any of those symptoms right now, but you just had a recent big blow to the head and you have no symptoms, but when you watch TV, 15 minutes in, you get a really bad headache, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, because that's pretty hard on the visual processing system that can go in there. It can cause some headaches.
Should probably just have the caveat where it's just like, if you have any question marks, that just literally you probably need to go to see somebody. Yeah, because it's just not something you want to play with. Yeah,
so like the advice we're giving right now is if you're on the fence of whether you should go to a doctor or not, you should go to a doctor.
Do it.
If you have these symptoms, go to a doctor. Even if you don't and you feel like you might have, just go to... We're not doctors, man. Not yet.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
Yeah, be safe. Be careful.
So... Take that advice in the way that you would if you called your mom and said, hey, do you think I have a concussion?
Yeah, that's a good point. I like it.
So now this next part, you got a lot more experience than I do with this. So like kind of management in the clinic, what we do for people who have come in diagnosed with concussions from the doctor, right?
Yeah, you'll see a whole spectrum of things. I mean, you can imagine it too because you're talking about a brain injury. So think about how fundamental the brain is to just things that you have to do physiologically. The interesting thing with concussion is so variable. So variable. Like it can present very differently depending on, like you said, where, the location, how severe, the individual person. So these are all things that, somebody like Jake would do from PT standpoint is evaluate first and see maybe what are some of the components of this particular case of concussion. And then we build a treatment plan around that. But your most common ones, I mean, we work with balance and vestibular stuff would probably be a huge one that we work on more often. That's probably the most that I've seen.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. So working on, like, they come in, they have some balance issues. Mm-hmm. That's pretty common. So you definitely want to start. So the main thing from a PT perspective, so you have someone, they got diagnosed with this, they come in. Your evaluation, you want to find out what deficits do they have because of this. So it's different for everybody. This person could come in and have, like, when they look around, it makes them dizzy and nauseous.
Yeah, we've just seen one like that actually in the clinic.
They might not have any balance issues. Or you could have someone that, like, they're like, I don't really get nauseous, but I just feel like I've been stumbling a lot recently, or bumping into stuff or dropping things, stuff like that.
And you can see it's very variable. Like in the case that we were talking about earlier, we just saw maybe about 2 weeks ago. This person's particular problem was turning left and up, and it just threw them into this total state of disorientation where you get that vertigo roller coaster feel, and she would just get physically afraid. Like she was just so scared. And that's one presentation. But I've seen people that can barely walk. Where it's just you have fits, and it's strange. You have fits of just complete imbalance where it's just you're walking fine 1 second, and then all of a sudden everything's screwed up and you're on the floor.
And it's important to note that. So let's say you have an injury, like you fall off and hit your head. Concussion would be one part of the problem.
Sure.
So you could have other things going on. You could have had the concussion. You could have had some other injury. You could have had some, another thing that I wanted to mention in this video is something called Bppv, where, like, it's not a brain thing. It's like an inner ear thing where you knock, like, you have, like, fluid in your ear that helps you balance and coordinate your movements.
Yeah.
And some of that can get knocked out of place. And so it's not gonna. Those can be longer lasting than the actual concussion symptoms. It really depends on how severe it is.
That's a good point because because it is balanced vestibular oriented for a lot of concussion stuff, they do look a lot alike sometimes.
Yeah.
So if you're missing that trauma component, there's a good chance that it's probably a BPV.
Yeah.
Bppv, if I can say that right.
Bppv, benign. What is it? Benign paroxysmal positioning.
That's his job.
Vertigo. There you go.
You got Google. Look it up. Yeah, you did it. Good job, man.
Pat myself.
But it just, and I think this is good because it gives people just an orientation on what a concussion is and how it works from a very lay standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you just can't overemphasize the fact that this is just not something that you can self-treat.
No.
Even if you have a question mark, if you hit your head, any head injury can be made infinitely more severe by not taking the right steps, the right actions quickly and expeditiously.
Yeah, and follow advice from your doctor. So
Yeah.
if you go see your doctor and they're like, this is a mild concussion, these are the steps I want you to take. Like, stop playing sports for a little while.
Yeah.
Because second impact syndrome is huge. You don't want to get another concussion right after one because the brain damage is almost exponential, is what research has shown.
Sure.
And avoid the TV screens. Go lay in a dark room. Take it easy. Like, treat it like it's an injury, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you blow your knee out, you're not going to the next day go back to playing sports.
Right.
You know?
If you've bruised your brain, the last thing you want to do is hyperstimulate. So that's why I think probably too much stimulus, light, sound, overstimulus is working the brain in a way where it could be moving that energy, those capacities towards healing rather than focusing on something like a YouTube video.
Oh, yeah.
So in this case, don't smash the like button. Unsmash the like button.
Yeah,
And
if you have
go
a
to the
concussion,
hospital.
yeah, get out of here.
What are you doing? Stop it.
Smash the order an Uber button. Like,
Hit the Uber button, hit the 911 button. Yeah, but don't hit the YouTube like button. But
we don't deserve it.
so I think that's a good one. We'll compound on this as we get more in depth with just the content.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I mean, we will probably have some videos on like how to actually work through a few of these things.
Sure. Oh yeah, there's
Just
plenty
if
of
you're
protocols.
interested. Mm.
Yeah. But I think that's our piece on concussions.
Yeah. So if you have any more questions, and if you want, so I know a lot more information, way more in depth on this. If you have any questions you wanted me to elaborate, just comment and I'll respond to it.
Yeah. Start there. And other than that,
I think we're out.
obliterate the like button if you don't have a concussion.
If you don't.
All right. Till next time.
Good enough. Hell yeah.